So you ask the guys closest to me and they'll be able to tell you that Kevin Wilkins and relationships are consistently a disaster in pre and post recovery. There's a whole long story to all of that, but you know, at the end of the day, I've been married twice. Long story to all that too, but they didn't go well. I've discovered codependent tendencies with me as far as a lack of boundaries. There's a book by Dr. Ross Rosenberg called The Human Magnet Syndrome. Talks about how codependents and narcissists tend to have a dynamic that brings them together because one is an endless taker, the other is an endless giver. Therefore, it's a good, nice, toxic mess that ends up in disaster and a big explosion typically, which resonates with me based on experience. So, my last divorce was a few years ago. I have a son with her. My first marriage was 15 years ago, 14, 15 years ago. And I had a daughter with her. So I have my daughter and my son. I've had custody of my daughter for the last 11 years. My son is 50-50 shared with his mom. And now we have this nice little life, right? We got a nice little condo and a very happy home. We're doing well. I started dating again and licking my wounds from a vicious, nasty divorce. I go into more length on it, I'm sure, and other stuff that I've done. But the desire to pull myself out of that and recover from that divorce and just try to understand what is wrong with me, what's wrong with them, what's wrong with me, what's wrong in general. And it led me down this path of really that led to Simplify Recovery, where I just started studying psychology and learning about narcissism and personality disorders, cluster B stuff, like, you know, borderline personality disorder and narcissistic personality disorder, codependency again, like where do I fit in all of that, just the psychology of it all, and then just general recovery and spirituality. I reconnected with the God of my understanding that I developed through recovery, because all the organized religion stuff that I got back into, it turned its back on me, at least so it felt. I was ostracized away from, you know, I have a Mormon heritage, and that didn't go well, you know, as far as trying to get answers and help in that area, and from those people. It went horribly wrong. And so I found myself alone with these two kids, wondering how I was going to do it, how I was going to start over, how I was going to get us food for the week. And I hit my knees and went back to what I know, which is this God that I created through the 12-step program, this connection with that God, and being able to live in a way that, you know, allowed a good connection there. You know, and you know, that relationship started this, that springboarded into, you know, the sober living and, you know, all the stuff that I've documented along the way, into now where I've been in a relationship now for the last 10 months. She would kill me if I said about 10 months. I guess I can say about. It's been a little over 10 months. And, you know, it's definitely a unique experience. You know, we attract likes. And so this is a much more healthy relationship than I've known ever. And I'm just documenting the journey here. I've noticed, compared to previous experience, that, you know, when we get into an argument or have a disagreement, which isn't often, I mean, it happens, but not a lot. And when we do, we get through it in a way where we actually come to better terms and a better level of understanding than we did prior to the argument, which is great. So it actually, in certain ways, an argument brings us closer together. It helps us get through. I mean, a relationship's not going to always be, just like recovery, it's not always going to be unicorns and rainbows. You know, there's issues. And the great thing about the two of us that I'm noticing now is there's always accountability and humility on the other side of the downs, right? The ups, it's easy to go, oh, look, everything's going great, this is so wonderful. But when issues come up, whether it's, just a miscommunication or hurt feelings or, financial or whatever. We haven't had a lot of financial issues, but, there's strains that come from that. Whatever the issue is, we're both capable of saying, where did I go wrong? What did I do? And what can we work on next time to get through this in a better way? And I'll tell you, it's refreshing. I've got this thing deep down inside of me because I've been hurt so deeply before, and I'm not being a victim. I'm not saying I'm the victim of anything. I chose to be involved in all of my relationships, and I take culpability in my role in that. So, dealing with my, I think I had narcissistic behaviors prior to getting sober. I think since I've been sober, I'm definitely, codependency resonates with me as far as like not knowing how to deal with life, not knowing what healthy boundaries are, not knowing what my value is. I am so screwed up from deep abandonment issues and, the PTSD of my life in general that I'm rebuilding. I'm starting over in many areas, many capacities. So, here I am acknowledging that, moving into this relationship that's now like, holy shit, it's been 10 months. It's crazy. And things are going well. We're talking about moving in together and taking some next steps, and it scares me. But not to the point where I'm just going to, let my fears blow it all up. But I'm just sifting through it. Who knows what'll happen? Who knows what'll end up happening? We'll see. If I need to call it quits, I'll call it quits. If we continue, we continue. It's only going to be on good, healthy terms. That's the only way I'm going to be involved with anybody in my life, period. So, I think same with recovery. When it comes to a relationship, it's kind of the same principles. There's universal principles that work in almost any scenario. Humility, accountability, the desire to learn. I think there's a lot of accountability that can be had just from going to third-party resources and having a counselor. If we got to a point where we were unable to get through issues on our own, I believe we are both open to finding a good third-party counselor or the likes, and having that accountability. So if something happens, we say, you know what, let's review this in our next session. Now we haven't done that yet, but I mean, coaching, counseling, anything like that always is just welcome to me. That's good stuff in life, and for life in general, much less relationships. But anyways, point being, it's very, to me, it's a relief. It's exciting to see that, this is possible in a relationship. It's just something I haven't seen before. So that's just an update. We'll see how it goes. And I say this because we kind of got into it this morning, but we worked through it as well, and it's nice. It's nice to see that. Like, I feel okay about us, even though we had a little bit of a not even a disagreement, just needed some communication this morning before we both headed off to work. But man, life is good. This is better than I've ever known it. Things are so amazing. It's like magical, worth it. 13 years sobriety, recovery, and, everything life's had to offer, to make it through and get to this stage. I'll tell you, it's worth it. I'm just happier and really enjoying life more than I ever have. Have my struggles, have my issues, but this is fun. This is good stuff. All right, thanks, bye.